Is this what giving up feels like? I don't know, I don't know. Tell me, have I lost my mind? Nowhere to go, so far from home. Is this what giving up feels like? I don't know, I don't know. Tell me, have I lost my mind? So I break these walls and hold my head up high, and I swear my pride until the day I die. As the rain falls down, there's no more tears to cry, tears to cry. So I break these walls and hold my head up high. No, I'm not giving in. No, I'm not giving in.
I can't take it anymore. My mind heart's about to go to war. I need someone to save me from myself, to hear me cry when I call out for help. I blame it on the voices that are in my head, wondering if they'll ever be put to bed. Feels like I am close to reaching my wit's end, holding out, but I'm about to blow it up like a volcano. Like a volcano. Blow it up like a volcano. What you do, what you do, what you do to me? Can't you see what it means when you set me free? What you do, what you do, what you do to me? Can't you see what it means when you set me free? Another day to lose control. There's a fire in my bones. My sight gets blurry, pushing back the tears. Leap of faith and face my fear. I blame it on the voices that are in my head, wondering if they'll ever be put to bed. Feels like I am close to reaching my wit's end, holding out, but I'm about to blow it up like a volcano. Like a volcano. Blow it up like a volcano. What you do, what you do, what you do to me? Can't you see what it means when you set me free? What you do, what you do, what you do to me? Can't you see what it means when you set me free? Blow it up like a volcano. We are on our rise now. I'm screaming out loud. You can't break me down. You can't break me down. We are on our rise now. I'm screaming out loud. You can't break me down. You can't break me down.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Well, hello, everybody.
Hello, good morning.
Roof, you're looking bright-eyed and bushy-tailed.
I hope you've recovered from your Monday night activities.
Okay, let's get started. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for being here. We have a lot to do today, so I'm going to let Chris start it off.
Well, good morning, everybody. Good afternoon. Good evening, I guess, maybe for some. Benny, maybe you. Starting off, as always, a reminder of why we're all here and kind of go on a little bit beyond that, as I usually do. The reason why this is called VOI is because this network is yours. VOI means you all in Italian. And we named it this just as a constant reminder that this is not our network. This is not the core team's network. This is actually not just your network, it's everybody's network. But you are the representation. You are the main driver for the progress that we need to make. And you are the representation of the community out there on the whole. So you need to make sure that you keep this in mind when you participate, both in participation, but also in when you do your voting. When you vote on a proposal, yes or no, keep in mind what the actual the mission of the chain is. That we're building a chain that is for everybody. That is actually owned by the people putting value in to the actual network. Kind of want to actually really get dig a little bit deeper into that. I was disappointed this weekend, to be very, very front and be very blunt with you guys, is that 3 of the most important proposals failed because of lack of voting. Not failed because they didn't want them. 2 of the 3, pretty much everybody but a couple said yes, but it didn't meet the appropriate quorum of 50% of the people voting. So that was a problem. Obviously, we've extended the actual timeline to make sure that those ones allow people to come in and vote and finish it up. But it is very, very, very important that you're participating, because one of the things that we made a decision early on is the core team. Yes, we're very passionate, and yes, we really want a lot of things happen, but we ceded the power to make big decisions over to you. And when people are not making those decisions, it stops progress. Nothing can happen as far as token distribution goes without you guys saying yes or no. So it is very important that you do participate. All of that being said, I'm actually very proud of where we are, and how much participation that we are getting. There are, Bill and I talked about this earlier today. The amount of participation that we're getting on this board, on this committee, is more participation than we've seen on people that are getting paid to do so. And it's it means a lot to me that you are putting in the effort. We just have to make sure that all of us actually put the effort in. So the other thing that I want to kind of talk about is using, you guys do have the power to decide if something gets passed or not. And one of the proposals that got approved by you all, I want to make sure that you are thinking about the mission. You are thinking about what value this is actually providing. Because looking back through the comments of why some people voted yes, I felt kind of empty and not really thought through. The couple things. Number one, it's very, very important that projects are open source at this stage. To give you a couple of anecdotes of why. Everything that we are actually that I've been building so far, I do in open source. And the reason for that is because people like Bo have been able to take it and improve it and build more things. Every time that we approve a project that is not open source, it has to be very, very, very important, because it has to go above and beyond. I would say 10 times more important than something else. So keep that in mind. Really ask the question, is this open source? And if the answer is no, it should be a really, really, really good reason to actually pass it. Number 2, I would recommend strongly that you look into the results of the actual, or what we think that we will get out of the proposal. One thing that's keep in mind is who will actually use this? Who will, what value will we get once this is delivered? And the reason why I kind of want to bring this up is that I'm going to say it specifically just because no FUD on the project, but Like, I love EXA. EXA is a great project, and I think that them being on Voy is very, very important. But I think that it's also very important that they come in with something that makes sense. Why I say that is that the proposal that went through for a NFT swapper that won't be used is something that is concerning to me. It's not a ton of tokens that has been given out, but it is enough so that it matters. And if a product like that is not going to be used, getting EXA on, like, I worry like X is going to put the effort in, release this, and nobody use it. Will that incentivize them to keep coming to Voy, even though they just started? Maybe, maybe not. I would encourage people to actually think a little bit further about what they're approving, and if they don't really understand what the actual the proposal is about, ask more questions. So, but all of that being said, we're looking around. We're looking at actually other chains that have launched. The amount of people participating, we're at over 400 nodes that are actually voting. The best, easiest way to actually compare is that Algorand, which is on mainnet and been around for 5 years, has around 200 voting nodes, and we're at around close to 400. That's pretty awesome. Yes, we are incentivizing. Yes, we are actually doing things differently, which is part of the plan. But we've already only been doing this for a month, and we are really popping off. And the amount of activity in our Discord, amount of people building, is also really, really amazing. And it really is because you guys, as the central hub of people to actually kind of galvanize around and push things forward, you guys have been great. So I think I'm over my 5 minutes, so I apologize, Shanti. I usually always do, but those are the kind of things I just want to say ahead of time. You're doing great. I'm excited to see where this goes, and it's still scary to completely give up the direction of what this is going, but I think you're doing great overall. I think we should just kind of tweak things, a couple things, and kind of just really think about the actions that we do going.
IRL.
Sorry, I don't know if this is the right time to ask this question or not, but what is the threshold, because I know we've lost some members, for a yes, no to pass? Like, I'm looking at the EXA's responses, and it looks like there were 8 to 6. So there were only 8 people on the council that voted yes on that, and that's, I heard that it passed, so that would be the majority. What are our numbers? I guess I don't understand.
So what it is that we have to reach quorum, meaning that enough people have to vote in the actual the vote, and if over 50% vote yes, then it passes.
So half the council has to vote, and then half of the people voting need to vote yes. So at this time,
which we can tweak if need be.
Yeah, at this time we needed 10 people voter turnout, and then 50% of those need to vote yes. And so that is what we have now, and obviously we can change processes, which we'll talk about later in the agenda.
I selfishly have been focused on my own votes because there's been so many to do. I haven't really been paying attention to the pass or fail. Like, I know how I voted. So I was just a little surprised when I cracked open those responses, as Chris was talking, that it was 8 yes votes, but we have a council of, I believe, 20. So I just wanted
lack of votes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ira, for those questions. Back to you, Shanti.
Okay. Thank you, Chris. So quick announcement. Also, I want to say, while we have everyone here, is we'll be holding our meeting next week on this really cool virtual platform called Roam. It's very interactive, and what it'll allow us to essentially do is for us to not just live stream using YouTube, but for Voy community members to actually join in on the meeting without necessarily like having a voice in the meeting, but they'll actually be able to watch like an audience member. So at the end of this call, Cody is going to do like a super quick demo. So if you can stay, hopefully we don't go over, but if we do, and if you have the time, he's going to take us through a 2-minute demo. But we will also email out instructions on how to get yourself set up, and it's easy, and we think that all of you will like it. Moving on, we are now going into the proposal review section. So last week we were supposed to do the node installer and monitor due diligence. We didn't get to it. So if we can bring it up today, D13 and Mariano, I think Andrew was not actually involved in this anymore.
Is it possible to do it last on the reviews, or do you want to go, Mariano? I'm still traveling home. I was massively delayed on the train.
Yeah, okay, so I can start, and if you don't mind, then you can follow. So basically, like, I think as a good due diligence, it should be first an overview of what the project is trying to build, and second, like an opinion about the actual layout of the proposal. So what they're trying to build, Ipaleka, he's a pretty good builder within the Algorand space. He's the main person behind ASA Stats, which, for those that don't know, is essentially a portfolio management tool for Algorand, where you can essentially input up to 5 different addresses, and it'll give you the real-time valuation. And it won't just do this sort of stupidly, if you will. It will query the chain for the actual pools, look at liquidities, do proper analysis of it, and realize the actual value of your tokens. And it does all of this doing only indexer calls. So it's doing quite a bit of sort of data parsing. So it's a guy who's very familiar with how Algorand works and sort of the nitty-gritty of it. He's been very active in all builder channels. It's someone who I've personally have had the pleasure of doing small works and asking questions here and there with, and just talking about Algorand in general. So the proposal itself comes from somebody that's very technically adept and pretty well versed within the ecosystem. What he's proposing is essentially building a tool that seeks to address 2 sort of markets. One of them would be relative power users that are very comfortable using CLIs. For those that don't know, CLIs are command line interfaces. So using something like a terminal on Linux or something along those lines for them to launch and manage their different nodes. This is also meant to be bundled with a set of sort of metrics dashboard, if you will, where you could be monitoring all the different performances that your node has. And then the other one is a GUI, graphical user interface, for the same purposes, where you can essentially launch and manage node software. He originally had a very technical proposal where he was essentially going very, well, not super in-depth, but pretty in-depth as to which tech stack it was going to be built in, all the different Linux distros that he was targeting, and the different OSs. In the end, the proposal that was actually submitted to the GitHub and the one that we reevaluated is a bit less nitty-gritty on the detail and a bit more generalized for ease of understanding. It's essentially that it's a node managing software stack that has a set of tools for launching your own nodes, and then another set of tools for keeping tabs on them and looking at their performance and making sure that they're all working as intended. The only 2 points of concern that I raised in my due diligence were, the first one was there is no token request amount. Ipaleka originally had a token request amount, but then upon talking to the council, he decided that he would want to leave this amount up to us personally. And this is something that I've always had like a bit of a hard time gauging. It's like, because testnet tokens don't have any real value, it's always hard for me to gauge just what is an appropriate amount. So it's something that I'm very open to discussing with the rest of the council as to like what amount we end up going for, like allocating to this. But this is a proposal that, in my opinion, is worth at least going to a vote and definitely considering the amount. And the second thing that I had a sort of concern is whether or not it differentiated itself enough from other one-click node solutions that are already present and prevalent in the Algorand space. From the get-go, I imagine, like, it looks to me that it does, because it's like right at that sweet spot where it's good for a power user, but it might also be enticing for somebody that maybe doesn't use popular distros. So something like the current Flatpak versions of one-click nodes won't be good, or alternatively doesn't wants another alternative that allows you to manage multiple nodes, which was my surface level of understanding, which was kind of like his target market. Overall, I think it's a good proposal to go ahead, in the sense that it seems to fulfill all the criteria. It seems to be straightforward. It seems to clearly identify a problem, a solution to said problem, and I think like the rest of the council should vote on this. I don't know, D13, I don't know if you're done driving. Can you add something, or? Maybe I ran too much. I think it's still driving. But if anybody wants to ask some questions, I think I'd be glad to answer.
So D13, while he's actually on the train, he did actually do a document that's outlines all of his things. I don't know if you have access to that, Mariano, but if you could actually go over that as well, that'd be great.
Yep, I'll go over his due diligence. I think it was on Discord. My personal comments, they're a bit briefer than his, are also on the same forum post, just in case anybody's curious about it. DD stage, okay, perfect. Definition of success. Successful. Okay, so there is a document on D13. I am going to post the link on the chat, but it's the last one published inside the forum post. It's all within the IPALECA proposal. It's originally D13's main concerns, and then the replies. So one of the main concerns that we had on the initial proposal was the amount of sort of, I would say, his definition of success and scope for the overall project. So he was originally wanting to do something like support for 99% of distros, and support for different amount of it was a different amount of distros and different amount of operating systems. Personally, I told them to like scale back that a bit, because in my opinion, if something doesn't work for an esoteric distro that might be useful on a server setting but isn't really popular amongst users, I don't think that we should be withholding either any funding or call the project itself unsuccessful just because it is something that can happen because of how finicky different installs can get to be. And then, so that was one of the first things that we had a concern with, and he has since addressed this. The other one was that we recommended whether or not he wanted to include an ARM version. It is my belief that he said that he couldn't commit to this at the moment, but don't quote me on that. And I believe this is on the second paragraph. Yeah. So the range of support is excessive. Yes. Supported architectures going to be only supported architecture. Okay. The MVP and the release would indeed focus on major platforms. And the same goes for the client side. The proposal doesn't imply developing the app version for the Android, but such development will surely be encouraged during the first year. Yeah, so basically no support for non-x86 architectures from the get-go, but this is something that he would consider within the year of development. And he also said that there was also a problem with trust, in the sense that the local computer will have access to voice secret keys, and that he would, like, we would need to build the binaries to be open source and probably via GitHub Actions to ensure that there is no way to sort of distribute a malicious version of this software, especially because it is going to be dealing with sensitive information on the user side of things. And he did mention that this is something that he would look into it, that he would be looking into using a CI/CD pipeline. So it's basically a development pipeline on GitHub that would ensure that the software that gets delivered to the end user is quote unquote trustworthy. And he has already purchased a domain for this specifically for people that aren't familiar with GitHub, from which that domain will be used and maintained by him specifically. And it will be a way for you to download the software directly from the source if you're not familiar with GitHub. And then another one was one concrete thing that Ipoleka did say is that he would need to buy additional hardware for this proposal. And the additional hardware is so that he can test all these different target distros that he's looking to support. For this additional hardware, he was budgeting around between 1,500 to 2,500 USD. Of course, testnet voice at the moment don't have any real network value, but this is something that we should kind of have along the lines of when we decide a final amount. So this is just the hardware amount, and to this we should add a ballpark figure of what will be probably a few months of hard work and then a year's worth of maintenance of just the software. So this should be something that we should be thinking about when coming to a final figure of testnet tokens given. And there was another thing on the security aspect of it that D13 went over. This is slightly beyond me, but basically D13 had from my understanding, D13 had a security questioning as to whether or not the ports where the nodes were operated would be open to the network and therefore be susceptible to certain attacks like a DDoSing, or alternatively opening a port to an end user, which could be a potential cause of concern. That was like my my surface level understanding. It seemed to me like Ipoleka answered this, and it's the final one. So he said there are two aspects to the problem. The first is an attacker can try to get information about running a node that is supposed to be seen only by the user. And the second is that attacker could try to make a DDoS attack to prevent the node instance from functioning. Okay, so he's not even sure if the latter is possible by default. So he doesn't even know if you can actually DDoS a node through this, and that he would implement just basic DDoS prevention, such as like when you ping the server for too long, you just enable basic throttling. And the second one, he's offering solutions for this. So again, all in all, it seems to me that it's a proposal with good thought behind it. It's relatively straightforward in the sense that there is a person that's very familiar with the network and the tech stack that can build something like this, that has shown before that he can build software around the network. And it's a piece of software that, whereas it does have competition in this general space, I do believe it offers a good enough niche to at least go through to a vote.
Wonderful. So the biggest issue here is we don't have a number. I think let's figure that out right now, and that is the number. I mean, this is one of the downsides of not putting yourself. I think but we should have that discussion.
And just to get it out of the way, we can probably just show of hands. I assume that we would all want to pass this. Would we want to just take a quick kind of raise your hand vote on that?
mean, probably easier. Speak up if you think it's a bad idea.
I would request for some more detail on the proposal. And actually, something else that came up is that I'm not fully convinced that he's committed to delivering this, considering both its scope and the importance of it. So if someone could share, I'm going to take maybe like 3 or 4 extra minutes. Can someone share a screen with a doc that I put in the chat, the last one? Until then, so the first section of that doc has to do with the fact that he mentions in the proposal that one of the main reasons that he's doing it is to familiarize himself with the community and the Void team to pave the way for Void stats. And it doesn't seem like a project of this scale is necessary for that kind of thing. Beyond that, some recent comments on Discord indicate that he's not as excited about this as he was initially. That's not the last document, I think.
No,
It's not the
it's the second one that
Yes,
he posted.
thank you.
Yeah, let me see if I can share it.
One thing I'd say about that D13 is that
So, yeah.
I was part of the same conversation. I do think that there is actually a bit of a language gap between Apelica and English speakers, but also I think that as long as this is 100% open source and the rewards are only actually paid upon delivery, I think that there's less of concern. Like, I would be more concerned about the year-long maintenance if the actual initial delivery is something that is open source and somebody else could pick up. And if it surely is valuable, I think somebody would pick it up.
So
Also,
it would be unfair to IPA as well to not break this down into milestones at least, and define an MVP that is actually MVP in scope. And if he delivers at least the MVP, then he needs to be paid some of the amount. He also needs to decide the amounts. I would opt toward the maximum of the range given the scope. And some of the stuff that he has mentioned in the chat with regards to what the MVP would look like, and the actual definition of done, which is not just installed on a node, but also auto updates and starts when the server is rebooted and all sorts of stuff to make a node participate reliably. Put that in the doc and only do it if he is sure that he wants to do it. That's the gist of my recommendations, basically.
Yeah,
oh, and reducing the OS scope, right? Because 95 Linux distributions, which is what the 95% of 100 Linux distributions on the pages, is not only like supported once, but also maintain it moving forward. If someone, since the community is going to pick up like maintenance of this after it's been released, if someone comes up and installs on Void Linux because it's one of the recommended supported platforms by this tool, then someone else will have to actually find the Void Linux and figure out why it's not working. So reducing the OS scope would also be a strong recommendation.
To be fair, though, he did say that the whole process, from my understanding, he was going to open source the whole thing so that if somebody had a problem with distribution X, they could open a ticket on GitHub and have that resolved by either Ipeleka or someone from the community that could be familiarized themselves with the stack. I know that it's open source software and that sometimes it's slow to react, especially to the peculiarities of each individual user. But like, this has happened before, is I guess what I'm trying to say, with complicated software stacks.
Right, but then the community would also need access to like a Void Linux server to reproduce the issue. Whereas if you're focusing on, let's say, 2 or 3 major Linux distros and the 2 major architectures, then that's a lot easier to find a machine and reproduce the issue on, right?
Yeah, I agree. I agree in the sense that if we limit the MVP to an actual MVP and then move the multi-OS support as a second milestone on a second proposal once we build that MVP, I think that would be both more favorable to Ipeleka because he would be able to like sort of show his chops, if you will, Second, he'd be able to gain some void testnet funding. And third, would potentially be able to gain some actual void once mainnet hits, if this node software is closer to completion by the time that mainnet happens. So I do agree that limiting the scope of the MVP is a good thing.
Lobo?
So I was under the impression it was only a VPS solution. And I think what's kind of also a big problem here is like what you mentioned, the safety, when you do it like from a home node. So what I would suggest is just grab the idea of helping to run nodes for someone like at home and reduce the scope to just VPS and Ubuntu Debian stuff. I mean, every VPS you can choose will either offer Debian or Ubuntu, I think. So you can just reduce the proposal to this. And then if he wants to do like the home stuff, we can talk about it again.
I believe the scope was way higher than a VPS, from my understanding and talking to him. I think originally it was that, and then no?
Yeah, so no, it's definitely like the scope of what he put out there is crazy big. I think that's my recommendation is to go back to Ipoleka, reduce the scope down to the actual MVP, which I agree with Lobo would be VPS and Debian based systems and doing all of this. And then that is what the actual proposal number would be for. And if he wants to actually do more beyond that, we don't need to worry about a year of maintenance or anything of that sort. Like let's think about just like delivery of this thing that works with this, and that is what we would vote on. And I propose something like that would be around the 50 million mark.
Yeah, I think limiting the scope, moving it into a multi-milestone in the sense by different milestones, I mean different proposals.
Yes, exactly.
Doing 50 million on the first one, which would be this for just VPS and targeting the most popular distro. Yeah, that'd be perfectly fine with that. And I believe that is something that it should be very easy to change into the proposal, and we could move it into a vote almost immediately after this meeting.
That makes sense to me. So that's I think the recommendation, and I think I motion that we move on.
Yeah. I think Andrew, you wanted to say something?
Actually, I'll kind of reframe. The only thing I wanted to say, I know IRL said it, and we've kind of talked about in the past, but I do think that people should be putting token amounts. Otherwise, I would say let's just give him like one token if he doesn't care, because those tokens are only so many. But that's all I had to say.
Okay.
Thank
Cool.
you. Is there any more questions? If not, we need, we're going to assign DD for 2 pending proposals. One is reserved for Discord Faucet Bot, and another is the virtual hackathon. So let's start with the Discord Faucet Bot. Can I get volunteer?
I mean, the Faucet Bot, whoever volunteers, can we make that one fast? Because we've been funding this all ad hoc so far, and we should just get this over with.
And the minimum amount has shot up quite a lot, so we're probably going to be running out of tokens soon.
Okay, let's see. IRL.
I had said I would do that once it was past its first eval. I think I volunteered before the eval cleared, but I don't really understand how it works, so I'm eager to learn more about it in the DD process with Cody.
Okay,
And if Austin wants to help with it, never mind.
Austin's doing a hackathon.
Just kidding on the other part. But yeah, I'll review the faucet.
Okay.
Awesome.
Thanks, IRL. Okay, and Aust, you are down for the virtual hack?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. That was easy.
I'm excited for the hackathon. Just to be very clear, I'm going to participate and I'm going to win it all, but I'm excited for it to exist.
Yes, and if anyone wants to be involved in helping to plan that, if it makes it through the second round of evaluation, let us know.
We're gonna build the NFT bridge. It's gonna be awesome. In a weekend. Ost, you're in. The team is Ost, Jay, myself, and Shelly. We're gonna get it done.
Okay, reminder that we have the first evaluation for Scotty's services is out, so please do vote. Proposal is linked, the form itself actually is linked right here, so you can do that after this meeting. And then we have a series of second evaluations that are out, so please take time to vote on those. And now we're going to move on to the next section of the agenda. But first, Andrew.
Yeah, just really quick. I know, or at least I'm pretty sure that the like council incentives passed. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. Correct.
When do those like get paid out? I guess is my question.
Oh yeah. So that is going to be paid out hopefully this week.
Okay.
I'm working with Scotty is going to update some data hopefully this week, and then either the end of this week or early next week we'll pay out for like the first. It's been more than a month actually. And it should happen monthly, but yes, that will happen very soon.
Look at Andrew wanting that via.
Where's my via? I'm ready.
Wilder.
For those who are doing the Scotty evaluation, I was a little bit late to amend the document after he provided the list of services that he does. So for anyone who wants more context before they vote, he's made a post in Discord and it's in the comment on the Google Doc.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so next we're going into the section where we discuss different topics. So one of the things that we wanted to start doing is just reviewing as a group participation of the council. And this is just a way for us to see, like, let me put out the link if you don't have it open. It's right here. It's in the proposal tracker itself, in case you're not aware. We are tracking individual attendance. We're tracking evaluations that are completed by each member, as well as due diligence. And so we are tracking this one because this is how we know, based on that past incentives proposal, who is getting the number of tokens that they earned for that month. But also this is information that's critical for all of you that are deciding, who is active and being participatory and of value in the council, and do you need to check the participation level of some of your fellow council members, or is it something that you want to take up and approach and see maybe why they aren't participating as much as they should? So I will share my screen. And this is something that we might start doing every week, but again, if you can see, I know Scotty has to update some of this, but we are tracking every single evaluation, both the first and the second one here, whether the yes and no is whether they were completed on time and not what your actual vote was, but this is meant to evaluate whether or not the evaluation was done on time and who is participating in what evaluation. We keep track of meeting attendance over here, and then we have this participation tracker that basically summarizes all three facets of participation and how you're doing. So this is one, to keep each of you accountable to each other, but then also if you are looking yourself, want to gauge how you're doing, this is a good way to go about doing that. Mariano.
Yeah, I think there might be a bit of a confusion on mine because I'm on Bunsan over there. I think we should just change it to Mariano. And also, I believe I sent you and Scotty today an email right before the meeting because I think there might be a few that I did vote on, but I voted under Mariano because that's my email. And you may have put it under Bunsan because, like, why would you? So
I know that that is accurate. I believe Scotty also knows that, but if you go through and you find that there is an error, then if you can just reach out to Scotty directly.
Yeah, perfect.
I'll go through and double check it for you tonight.
That'd be great, Scotty. And also just change it from the get-go on the form, just so that it's easier to track for everyone. Because also Daleko was asking who Bunsan was, and it was just a mess when doing the DD.
Yes. So everyone should go in and like feel free to check the evaluations at any time and make sure that your names are checked off. Both of us look at it, but if you believe that there is an error, obviously reach out to Scotty. But in order to be checked off, you do have to complete the evaluation on time.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, awesome. Yes.
Just real quick, sorry, I have a question. How long are they open? From when they're opened, how long do we have to vote on?
Yeah. So everything is in those guidelines, the proposal approval guidelines, but the first round of evaluations is open for a week, and then the second round is 72 hours. And those numbers are all in the guidelines, but they're actually, if you go onto the task and timeline cheat sheet of this very proposal tracker, you'll see in columns F through G, there's actually like a summary of the number of days that is in each of the different stages of the proposal process. Ost.
Yeah, I'd just like to make a suggestion for this proposal tracker. I'm just looking at it, and it's Scotty Organizational Services is a second entry, but it's like one of the most recent ones. But then you see like the reserve for Discord faucet is like near the bottom. So it's kind of hard for me to like track like which ones I need to vote on. Do you guys think you could just like put it in order? So it's like, okay, I can just go straight to the bottom and kind of catch myself up and say, oh, here's the 3 new ones that I need to submit on. That's just I guess.
So the entries keep like moving and changing because they're being filtered and sorted for different reasons and purposes. And so if you're looking to know what you want to vote on, I would check the Discord because that's where it's being updated, but we're also sending out emails.
Yeah, but for example, so I got the email for the Discord faucet one, and I went and I filled it out. But it's just on the tracker, it says I didn't fill it out. So I'm guessing maybe I filled it out too late. So what it would just be really nice if I could have a place I could just go to, check after the meeting, say, oh, here's the 3 new ones. Bam, 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 and be a little more efficient is all.
Okay. Maybe we can like highlight the ones for that week in a certain color and make it more obvious. Yeah, I can figure out a way.
You should be able to put a filter view that only you will see as well, Ost, if that helps. And you should be able to then sort of sort by some of the date columns.
Yeah, and I just wanted to say one thing too. I do really appreciate this document. I think it's one of my most used ones. So for me, it's what works for me. Continue the good work now so we can define it a little bit better in certain ways, but that's been helping me a lot. So
okay, thank you. Thanks, Andrew. And yeah, again, Ost, if you think if one of the evaluations is already closed and you have not been marked off as having participated in the evaluation, please reach out to Scotty. Okay, so we have 2 things. One of the topics, maybe we'll talk about it just in the order that it's here. But one of the things that we as the core team were talking about is this need, to have some type of council leadership. One, to promote, a sense of self-agency, but also to help us rally the troops and kind of push things forward. I think a great example is the tier-based proposal process that TD had initially brought forth. It was a great idea. There was like probably an entire day of conversation that was had about this topic and people wanting to change it. But at the end of the day, it wasn't pushed forward. And so one of us on the core team had to, like, we're happy to do it. Like, we drafted up a proposal and sent it out, but there was just very few comments that were had. And I think it's an example of just where we need some internal initiative and leadership to be taken in order to kind of act as a facilitator for these kinds of decisions and proposals and processes that are coming from within the council itself, that could really benefit from having someone see them through completion. And so that's when we thought, like, this might be a really great time to have some type of council lead. And so hopefully you saw the Discord message as well as the email that went out that we are planning to take candidates. So if you want to put in your hat to serve under this position, it's not right now not going to be backed by tokens, so you should be internally motivated to do this. But you will basically act as like the voice of the council, serve as a leader in the council, and help to push these types of proposals forward, that not proposal, but like initiatives and activities forward, and just ensure general good functioning of the council and interface as well with the foundation and with Scotty. Is there anything else that Benny, Chris, or Bill, you want to say about this role before we get into? Yeah.
I think the only other thing to touch upon is we probably have a vice chairperson too. So it might just be the first, whichever two people get the two highest votes, just in case for whatever reason the chairperson has to sit out or they're ill or something. But it will be very important going forward when you guys have to formally request tokens for us. We will need somebody essentially signing documents, and I think this would be a great role for that.
Bill?
Yeah, the only thing that I'll add is, kind of the basic premise that this group has been functioning very well for, a month now, and it's just kind of a typical and traditional method of self-governance to have someone on your side of the ledger that makes sure that the process is going as it should. So would love to have a chair and a vice chair that just kind of starts taking a little bit of ownership on the testnet committee side of things, and also just have like an easy channel of discussion before or after meetings between the council and the core team. So I think it's definitely worth our while, and there's definitely more than enough people overly qualified to handle the role and the responsibility, so to speak.
Thanks, Bill. Okay, so we are going to do 1 or 2 minute speeches for anyone that is interested, and would kind of like to say why they're interested and why they think they would be good in this role. So raise your hand. Wilder.
First of all, thank you for everyone in the comments. I just read those. I appreciate that. I want to see the success and the improvement of the committee. I think we've done a great job, and we can do better though. I believe in the vision of a network for everybody, by everyone. I think we've done a good job of taking ownership so far, but I agree that we need someone to rally the troops. And I think this is most importantly because I think the team is, the committee is full of talented people. I just have, I think, more free time available to be able to put into this role, and am willing to make that commitment to the role. So I think success would be decreasing the time that proposals are inactive or in a limbo state, motivating and supporting committee members to participate actively, trying to find ways that they can achieve a higher participation. And if that's not the case, then difficulty working through their exit if they're not able to be part of the committee. I want to make sure the community voice is heard in DD. I think that's been done well, but to be honest, I haven't gone further and looked at other people's DD to make sure it's capturing everything. So that'd be something I'd be taking on as well. I collaborate with Scotty and his core team to make sure that the committee concerns are implemented and we get their feedback heard, similar to what Os was talking about, that would be an example of something that you could discuss with me, and I could bring to the committee on your behalf if you're busy. And I think this would all culminate in a more efficient and lean governance team. We'd have more time in our weekly calls to discuss things. And I think this will also help the core team to stay lean, because they'll be doing less. For example, they won't have to write the tier proposal. If no one's writing that, I'll step in and do that. So I see it mainly as a larger time commitment. And as time goes on, hopefully I need to do a lot less of that, because everyone else is pulling their weight better. Not that you aren't, just I think a lot of us can contribute in more impactful ways with the right motivation. Thank you.
Thanks, Wilder. Anyone else? Otherwise, Jay. Yes.
At the risk of sounding like someone who's not pulling their weight and being an idiot, we're getting toward the end of the call, and I wanted to bring up something which I thought we were going to talk about at the very beginning, and now I'm like, oh no, is it too late to bring up a new thing? So first of all, I like the idea of this leadership thing, and I think Wilder would do great. Okay, so just like, this is a totally unrelated comment. At the very beginning, we talked about how there were these proposals that were missed that didn't get funded because not enough people voted. And then we kicked out those people. And so what happens to those proposals? What I want to do is I want those proposals to, what I hope is I hope that if we take the votes that were there in the past with the new council, then they passed. Oh, okay, they did pass. Okay, TD is saying, you're an idiot, Jay, you didn't listen.
They passed. What we did is we extended the time frame to let people come in and vote, and I think one person came and vote, which pushed it all over. So,
okay, all right. I was really nervous about that, and I'm like, when is the solution going to happen? Okay, so I guess I just wasn't paying attention. Okay, so
this is the problem with the one. But this is the other thing that I brought up with the EXA one, where it barely got over 50% and still went through. We didn't address that this time, but it's just something I want everybody to think about. Is 50% enough to actually push something through? Because it's really easy when if everybody doesn't vote and a good portion don't really care and they vote yes, that it pushes things through when maybe they shouldn't.
Thank you for correcting my idiocy and not paying attention. I'm sorry.
So to be clear, we extended the vote, right?
Correct.
Right.
Okay. Well, if there's no one up,
does anybody else wants to be like up for a nomination? Because someone should run against Wilder, or at least be vice chair.
Yeah, we need a vice chair at the very least.
I would consider it, but honestly, I think I'm just too stacked at the moment. Maybe in the future, but right now I think I have too much going on with all the fun stuff, Chris, so.
What we can do is we can start with Wilder, and then if people want to think about the time that they have, then next week I'll put it on the agenda. Okay, so we have 5 minutes. I do want to talk about, this is kind of a large topic. I don't think we have time, Chris, but like voter turnout and how we go about changing operational processes. Do you want to talk about this maybe?
We need better turnout.
Yeah.
That's the gist of it.
Okay, yeah. So there's 2 issues that we have on the table, and we can start the discussion now and then continue it next week or in Discord. One is, I want to think as a group, how do we get better participation and voter turnout on these proposals, but also on any other type of decisions that we're making? And the second is, how do you think that we as a council should go about making operational changes or process changes? Like, we are thinking as a core team that it is not, something that requires a full-on proposal, but perhaps should be more than just a poll in Discord. And so, like, for example, if we want to change, this 50% mark for voter turnout, how is that brought up, and how does that actually get operationalized? That's the other topic of conversation. So in the last few minutes, does anyone have any thoughts or opinions on this that they want to share before it gets moved to Discord and to the next week's agenda. Yeah, Andrew.
Sorry, I'm talking too much today. Just in terms of getting more participation, I still think like consistency is key. So one of the things where I probably struggle the most, I mean, I like the Excel sheet and I've kind of managed pretty much all together, but is, like it's like on Monday, I might get an email saying there's 3 new projects. I might not. It could be any day of the week. I would like if we could just move to a consistent, like whether it's bi-weekly, like every Monday, the new proposals get put up there. Everyone knows, okay, it's proposal Monday. We should go in and check and see what the new ones are. And we know that by next Monday, these all have to be voted on. So there's not really this confusion of like, because I know there's been a couple of proposals where, it's probably my fault, but I just like didn't see it or somehow it fell through. It came through on a Thursday and I was like, oh, I just did 3 on Wednesday. So I'm good. And then, I end up missing it. So that would be my biggest thing is just create a consistent schedule. So people don't even have to look at these things. They just know, okay, every Monday I have to go and vote on whatever the ones are up. So
Walter.
I'll also put an effort in to reach out to people who have been having lower participation and collaborate with them and try to find a way to bring those numbers up. And that may result in feedback that we can bring back and change the process. But I'll work on that as well and maybe present something in the next call if it gets to that stage. But I'll focus on that this week.
Thank you. TD and then Shelly, then Keely.
I was pissed off too over the weekend looking at the participation. I think I'm not sure what Stuart's status is, but we might want to agree to a vote on his membership through Discord or wherever is appropriate.
Okay. Yeah, and I suggest like in instances like that, everyone here has access to the agenda, and they can add a comment and we can include any of these things onto the agenda next week. Shelly and then Keely.
So I was thinking we should consider the timing of the what is it, the email that Scotty sent out. It should be at least Wednesday or Thursday, because if it's on Friday, and you have to finish your second evaluations, you might just have to do it right after reading the email. So I don't know what the schedule is, but I think we should consider the timing on the email to be like after the council meeting, or at least on Thursday. So.
And Keely.
Well, I just wanted to say
Xiphoid.
that Xiphoid, that's right, Chris. I just wanted to say that I actually think there's been a big improvement from the beginning. So just giving some praise out there. I mean, having Shanti and Scotty send through the proposals over email, I mean, that's how I'm catching them. And I find it really helpful. So thank you for that. I think standardizing it to once a week is a great suggestion as well. But I just want to give support to what we've been doing so far.
Thank you. Okay, Zarmian.
I don't have a solution for this, but I feel like if we could put our heads together and find there's got to be something out there, like a management system that would really help, like so that each person has their own like individual tracking of what they're needing. It would be similar to the spreadsheet, but paid automatically. Probably help. I don't know if there's something that fits that existing or that we could get our hands on, but something just to.
You're talking about something that would like send tasks out to all group members individually so that they can check them off?
Well, something that would make Scotty's life a little bit easier and give us like a platform that we could do the evaluations in that wouldn't be forums.
Yeah, instead of like jumping around to Discord or Excel, I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are totally open to alternative solutions. there is a lot of like grants management softwares out there that can get pricey, and so I think finding something in the that is reasonable for our needs is important. Yeah, and maybe it is like a Kanban board of types. I'll think about it, and if anyone has any thoughts on like, you know, a better methodology for keeping track of all of this, then please like just ping one of us or post it in the Discord. Okay, so we are over time, so if you have to leave, feel free. I'm going to let Cody do a quick demo of the platform that we're going to be using next week, and if you're not able to see it, you can just watch this recording of this at later when you have time, and just fast forward to the end of it, and so that you are not taken by surprise next week. But otherwise, thank you everyone for your participation. It was a super useful call. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Cody.
Cheers, guys.
Everyone. It's always good when I get to talk in these. It's not often. But first and foremost, I need 2 volunteers. All right, you can think of me as a magician on stage. I need 2 volunteers to join this presentation. So who wants to join? All right, I got Wilder. I need one more. One more volunteer. Who's? Oh, Shelly. All right, I'm posting the link in here right now. You guys join, create a username, and we will go from there, and I will meet you in our new Void Theater. Oh, 1 second. Oh, wrong thing to present. All right. Well, let me present this. Okay, yeah, here we go. How's it go? Oh, hold on 1 second. How's it going, sir?
Doing well. I got a neighbor here.
All right. Well, welcome to the Void Theater, sir. This is like we're in the audience stage right here. And as you notice, we're on a row of 5 people. So we can actually present this and have the community join on this row. And they can actually have a private voice chat where we can't hear them on stage. But I'm going to go on stage real fast. You stay right there. We're going to show you some other cool features real fast. Oh, here's Nick.
You might be
there we
might
go.
get the other view up, Cody.
Huh?
If you got the expanded view of the room you're in,
I don't.
We can just see the floor plan right now.
Oh, okay. Hold on 1 second. Let me change the way that it's presenting. So there we go.
And in my row of 5, like I can talk to Shelly now and yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Very
how
cool.
it works. And then so I'm gonna go on stage. Do you see that icon in the middle right there with the microphone?
Yeah, like a town hall microphone.
Yeah, so that's the way people in the community can join and just talk without actually going on stage. So someone could be in here, we could be talking about their proposal, they could be sitting in the audience, and then they can just hop in that little middle area and one person at a time can come up and talk, which is really cool because it kind of keeps it organized and they can wait in a line. So that is one of the more neat features. So let me go on stage and you could test it out, and then and you can kind of see how can't hear you, but then when you go onto the microphone, I can hear you. As you notice, here I am. I'm on stage.
Are you able to hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. How's it going, sir?
It's going well. I'm gonna jump back in the row and do a whisper, but this is definitely more fun than a normal Zoom call.
It is. And then one of the cool things, I'm going to bring one of you on stage now. So let me go ahead and bring you on stage, Wilder. As you notice, you just got an invite to come up on stage. And here we are. We're on stage together now. Your camera finally comes on when you go on stage. It never comes on any other things. You can almost think of it just a voice chat like on Discord. And another thing is there is a app for desktop and mobile. And if you do download, there's a lot of cool features. Like if you're looking on the presentation of me right now, you can't do this on the desktop version, but I can actually turn off my camera from only my view only. So like like for instance, like if I don't want to see like me looking at the camera, I could turn that off. And that is a really cool feature, I personally think, because you don't have to like look at yourself the entire time. And then it has like all the other features and stuff like that. And you can adjust your blur and stuff like that. But I think this is going to be a really interactive way. That way, like when someone's presenting, they can actually come up and talk to us without just doing that. And also from a production level, this is going to look a lot better. The fact that I could actually not have to toss my camera around the screen the entire time. And if you guys watch the stream, I'm doing that the entire time, so my camera is not blocking your face and stuff like that. But it's a cool way. If you guys want to come up and talk on the mic, you guys could test that, or I'll invite you up on stage. But this is going to be really cool. And then, like I said, I highly recommend you download the native apps. It makes it a whole lot smoother than but you can use it from a browser if you wanted to. Dealer's choice. But next week we're just going to do it where it's just the governor, you guys, the committee, before we make it public, because I kind of want to test it out, because the links aren't quite customizable yet. But I am going to like a little class Friday with the founders, and they're going to give me more in depth of how to work this theater. So there might be a way. I'm just like too smooth brain to figure it out on my own. But hopefully they'll hold my hand through the way here, and we can get this really cool and really bring a new way of doing this. Because like they say we could host up to 1,000 people in here. That's insane when you think about that, because Discord can only hold up to 100 even at level 3, and all in their stages. So the fact that we could hold this like 1,000 people, like a near whole community, and really turn this into like a more of a town hall, if anything else, it can really evolve and grow. And I was really happy when Gov discovered this. So big shout out to Gov for finding this and getting us this free trial and getting us on really early, because a lot of people were jealous that we actually got onto this, because I made a post about it. And I had people like, how do I get on this? I'm like, yeah, you got to join the waiting list, So this is really cool. And I hope you guys enjoy this, and let me know any feedback you guys think from this. But I think it's going to be a whole lot better. So I'm going to go ahead and just go back to the Google Meets. And if you guys got any questions, don't be afraid to ask.
Is there a specific chat that's separated from the audience, or is it a group chat?
Well, if you look, there's like 2 windows here. We have our own offices here. So like when I invite you guys in here, from my knowledge right now, I'll have to invite you guys into my office, and then I can move you on stage and stuff like that. Like Nick's backstage now. So we even have like a backstage where you guys can chat now before we go live. So I don't have to mute the tab like I did last time, and no one can hear you, and I could just be on main stage, So usually I have to like, mute the tab, wait for you guys to, go live, and then I have to warn you, like, going live now. Now you guys just come on stage when you're ready. You know what I'm saying? And you don't have to expose yourself anytime too early.
Okay. This is cool. This is like a much more. It's like makes the meeting a little more of a performance, which I think will help drive engagement.
Yeah. So if you watched the stream earlier, it showed the whole office layout and stuff like that. So next time I bring you guys in, you'll actually see the whole office and stuff like that. Or when we actually do it, like, I guess when we actually allow the public to come in here, like the whole community, not just you guys. But it should be really cool. And this should be the most interactive way any decentralized community has ever congregated together. And it's going to be like Twitter Spaces on roids, in my opinion. Can't hear you. You're backstage.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to us getting to use that, Cody, actually. I think it's going to be really interesting.
Yeah, and then like we could hear them talking, giving us thumbs up or thumbs down. Like, a lot of great way. Yeah, tomatoes if you're doing bad. A lot of cool ways to get like feedback from the community while we're talking as well. Because we're not here just to please ourselves. We're here to please everyone in the community, and getting as much information on the spot when we're doing things might be the most important thing possible. So this is really cool, and it's the most interactive way for us to do this as well. All right, I'm gonna go back to the Google Meet. I'll see you guys there.
Thank you, Cody.
All right. Yeah, nice one, Cody.
Cool. So he also put together a quick guide with all the appropriate links. So we will circulate that with the meeting notes. Otherwise, thanks for sticking around and have a great afternoon, everyone.
Cheers, guys. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.